Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Kantner and welcome to CMSD TV, bringing you the latest news out of the Cleveland Metropolitan School District. CMSD has 5 big reasons to celebrate. The Cleveland Browns announced they will be providing 5 new fields for our Senate League teams. Browns owners Dee and Jimmy Haslam made the announcement at First Energy Stadium, joined by Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson, District CEO Eric Gordon, and plenty of our student athletes. We were there as they unveiled the plan for this multi-million-dollar makeover. Check out a few highlights and special videos from the event.
Right now, please welcome Cleveland Browns owner Dee Haslam.
Thank you, Jim. And thanks everybody today for coming to First Energy Stadium. We're really excited to have you. This is kind of maybe one of my favorite days ever in Cleveland to make this announcement. You know, when we moved to Northeast Ohio, there were a couple of things we wanted to get accomplished, but 2 of the most important. One was to bring a championship team to Cleveland. Obviously, we're working hard to do that, but secondly, we felt it was our responsibility to get involved in Northeast Ohio. How can we help? How can we give back? And we spent a lot of time with a lot of families and youth to try to figure out what's the best way we can do that. And how we landed here today was a lot of time spent in the community, and we're really focused on education, we're really focused on youth, and what a better way to give back than what we're announcing today. There's 2 things you need to know, or several things you need to know about this. When you play sports, you attend school more often, at least that's what Eric told me, and when you attend school more often, you're more likely to graduate. So the opportunity here and what we're doing here today is to really increase student participation in school, get them to attend school, and get them to graduate. And then they'll have a brighter future. So today, this is what makes us so fired up and so excited about being here.
Education is the key to our success. And if we can educate our children and provide an avenue for them to be successful in life, it will address many of the ills of our society. Football, sports, is part of that. It helps us to educate the entire child and gives that child a sense of being part of a team, being leaders, being contributors to something. And so I want to again thank the Browns organization and Mr. and Mrs. Haslam for their, again, continued commitment to the citizens of the city of Cleveland, particularly our children. Thank you.
I also want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Haslam. I want to share a little bit of how I got here and how I got involved in this exciting project for our kids. Is when the Browns came to town, as Dee said, the first thing they did is look at where does this town put its energy? And the very clear answer to that question is around education for our city's youth. That is the single driving focus as long as I've been in this city, and the Haslams quickly recognized that themselves. The Browns immediately became involved in our attendance campaign and have been daily partners in reducing off-track attendance behavior by over 11% this school year, meaning more than 2,800 more students improved their attendance to on-track this year. So before we even get to the fields, we have to recognize that commitment from the Cleveland Browns and the Haslam family. Dee Haslam mentioned that she heard from me about the importance of athletics to our academic achievement. The conversation actually went something like this. In one of our meetings around attendance, she mentioned that the Haslams had made a similar gift in Tennessee and had actually gotten a little bit of pushback about why they didn't do something academic. And before she even got to finish it, I said, what do you mean? There is so much evidence about the role of athletics in improving academics. If you had done this in Cleveland, I would have told you that whether a student is at risk or gifted, they are 1.7 times more likely to achieve their graduation goals and aspire to college, and that is a 40% less likelihood of dropping out of school. If you brought those fields here, I would have stood next to you and told you that students have higher grades, less absenteeism, fewer discipline referrals, a stronger internal locus of control, self-management, and better odds of aspiring to and completing college education than those who do not get to participate in athletics and extracurricular programs. And so, unbeknownst to me, I was making a pitch for the Haslams of why this was the right gift for Cleveland. And so I am so grateful to both of you for bringing what maybe got a little pushback in Tennessee to a city that welcomes and embraces the importance of this for our kids.
To watch the entire press conference, visit us on YouTube or the CMSD News Bureau page. The Browns took another timeout to spend the afternoon at Walton School recently. Several players helped cut the ribbon at the Media Center, which received a big brown and orange makeover thanks to the First Energy Stadium operations team. The Browns made posters about kindness with the students and discussed what it meant to lend a helping hand. Take a look at some of the highlights and hear from the players about their experience.
People like to help people, but so be fair to help them.
All right, so that's good. So bear with me. I'm not a good drawer, but I'm gonna try. So I'm gonna draw stick figures. Is that cool? Okay.
Who wouldn't want to work in this environment? It really does. You know, we talk a lot about academics and books and things like that, but the learning environment is just as important, frankly. And this is such a positive and energetic space to now learn in. I know for a fact every time the Browns visit, the students really feel that they have won the lottery. Frankly, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Be funny.
Whenever you are around kids, you give back to them because you was once in their shoes before, and you know it's always good to have a helping hand. And these kids are amazing. They drew some awesome posters. We traced each other's hands. I haven't traced a hand in so long, so it brought back a lot of memories. But and I believe I had the smallest hand. I don't know how we had my hand the smallest one if we traced it, but we got it done. So it's pretty fun. And those kids just have wonderful personalities, and they're a lot of fun. So it was a good event.
The name of the poster is Kind is beautiful.
Yay!
We drew Mrs. Chops. As you can tell by the arms, she likes to work out.
Helping Hands was original by us. So, we wanted to create a poster with. They wanted to include me, which was very kind of them. We had a great time. It was fun to do this project.
Be kind!
All of the posters are going to be displayed in the school. The operations team also painted the gym at Walton. And those artistic abilities can be found all across the district, like at New Tech at Collinwood, where students in the fashion and design class made recycling trendy. Check out some highlights from the student fashion show featuring all recycled clothes on the runway. You can watch the entire fashion show by visiting us on YouTube or the CMSD News Bureau page. Meanwhile, students at Scranton became a different kind of model. They dressed up as historic figures in the school's Living Wax Museum event. Every 5th and 6th grader chose, researched, and portrayed a famous person for the entire school to enjoy. Let's hear from some of them now, including Rosa Parks, John Glenn, and Annie Oakley.
Hi, my name is Annie Oakley. I was born on August 13, 1860 in Dare County, Ohio. My parents were Susan White Moses and Jacob Moses. My parents moved to Pennsylvania where they have Brandon Inn. I went to the infirmary for education. When I was 5 years old, my father died in a snowstorm and he froze to death. My mother married another guy and had one more child. I was in a show called Buffalo Bill Show. I married a guy named Frank Butler after my shooting competition in 1875. I am famous for being the first woman to ever shoot a gun on stage. My greatest accomplishment is when I won the shooting competition in 1875. I died on November 3rd, 1926 in Greenville, Ohio. Thank you. My favorite thing that I did in life is when I taught 15,000 women to carry a gun like if it was a baby.
When I was on the bus and a white man tried to tell me what to do, but I stood my ground and I sat in my seat.
My greatest accomplishment was that I went up to space. I went up to space when I was 77 years old and I became a senator.
Events like the Living Wax Museum wouldn't exist without the dedication of our teachers. May 2nd through 6th was National Teacher Appreciation Week, and CMSD honored its educators across the district. See how CMSD celebrated and hear from the teachers about their passion for education.
Every day is an adventure. You show up, you never know what's going to hit you, you never know how the kids are going to feel, you never know who's going to be in a good mood and who's in a bad mood, and you never know who needs a lot of love. So it's kind of like a cool chance to come in and be a stabilizing force of like care for people who don't know what, you never know what's happening with them, but you can control how much you love the kids.
I love more of the outside of the classroom experience because we end up as teachers being more than teachers. We end up being counselors, parents, confidants.
What I love most about being around 15-year-olds is just their passion for life. They have so much zest, they're so goofy, they're fun, they're weird, and I'm weird and goofy and zesty, and so we just try to have a lot of fun in class. I try to innovate, and I'm really reflecting on my own teaching practice and trying to improve on a daily basis, and I get a lot of feedback from them, and I request that feedback because if I'm going to give feedback to them on how they're doing, it's only fair that they're giving feedback to me on how I'm doing. So we're improving together as a community of scholars, and I'm included in that.
In the middle of a reading lesson, one of my kids just looked up at me, eyes wide, and just said, "Mr. Colas, am I in heaven right now?"
I think teaching is my passion. I love kids. I love what I do. I'm excited to come to work on most days. And I just love it. I love to teach math. I love to see kids when they have a breakthrough. I just love it.
She bounds up the stairs, wraps me in this giant hug, and I was like, "Antonia, what's going on?" And she goes, "Miss Wong, you almost sent me to the hospital yesterday." And I had no idea what she was talking about, so I went, "What? You went to the hospital? Like, what did I do? What happened? Like, what was going on?" And she goes, "You almost sent me to the hospital yesterday because you made my head so big." And I looked at her and I was getting confused at this point. I was going, "Made your head so big? What are you talking about? Like, are you okay? Do I need to call your mom? What's going on?" And she goes, "No, you made my head so big because you filled it up with so much knowledge." And I just had this moment where she was hugging me where I was like, man, this right here, that makes it all worth it. It was like this beautiful, beautiful, meaningful moment where you realize, like, yeah, this is what I come to work for people who learn and love, like Antonia.
That's all the time we have. Thanks for tuning in, and for more news stories, visit clevelandmetroschools.org/news. We'll see you next time.